Imagination creates the situation, and then the situation creates imagination. It may, of course, be the other way around. Columbus was discovered by what he found.
Sundays, too, my father got up early and put his clothes on in the blue-black cold. Then, with cracked hands that ached from labor in the weekday weather, made banked fires blaze. No one ever thanked him. I'd wake and hear the cold splintering, breaking. When the rooms were warm, he'd call, and slowly I would rise and dress, fearing the chronic angers of that house. Speaking indifferently to him who had driven out the cold and polished my good shoes as well. What did I know? What did I know of love's austere and lonely offices?
On cold evenings, my grandmother, with ownership of half her mind, the other half having flown back to Bohemia, spread newspapers over the porch floor so, she said, the garden ants could crawl beneath as under a blanket and keep warm. And what shall I wish for myself but, being so struck by the lightning of years, to be like her with what is left, that loving.
Before daylight, we were awakened by the voices of my aunts in my mother's kitchen. As soon as my father and my uncles left for work, they appeared like gauzy apparitions and shadowed our back door. The sky outside was but a dimly lighted sheet, and the sparrows were still drowsing lazily in the upper branches of the trees. These birds were rhymes for who we were in our beds, still, but being awakened slowly by the voices and the perfume creeping into the woodwork as water plumped the dark, rich grounds in the little blue pot, sitting inside another pot on the stove. The anxious thoughts these women carried inside, they put out on the table, along with whatever was left from yesterday, sweet dough pie or fig cakes, gâteau sirop, or des oreilles de cochon. On this fare they would break fast, and whatever gleamed in their lives, or in lives close by, they lighted the room with. This hour was something they had taken as theirs, and it was their job to start the day.
I would like to watch you sleeping, which may not happen. I would like to watch you sleeping. I would like to sleep with you, to enter your sleep as its smooth, dark wave slides over my head, and walk with you through that loosened, wavering forest of blue-green leaves with its watery sun and 3 moons, towards the cave where you must descend toward your worst fear. I would like to give you the silver branch, the small white flower, the one word that will protect you from the grief at the center of your dream, from the grief at the center. I would like to follow you up the long stairway again and become the boat that would row you back carefully, a flame in two cupped hands to where your body lies beside me, and you enter it as easily as breathing in. I would like to be the air that inhabits you for a moment only. I would like to be that unnoticed and that necessary.
I do not love you as if you were salt rose or topaz, or the arrow of carnations the fire shoots off. I love you as certain dark things are to be loved, in secret, between the shadow and the soul. I love you as the plant that never blooms, but carries in itself the light of hidden flowers. Thanks to your love, a certain solid fragrance, risen from the earth, lives darkly in my body. I love you without knowing how, or when, or from where. I love you straightforwardly, without complexities or pride. So I love you because I know no other way than this. Where I does not exist, nor you, so close that your hand on my chest is my hand, so close that your eyes close as I fall asleep.
I've heard yogis talk of a divine emptiness, the body free of its base desires, some coiled and luminous God in all of us waiting to be discovered. And I've always pivoted, followed Blake's road of excess to the same source, and know how it feels to achieve nothing, the nothing that exists after accomplishment. And I've also known the emptiness of nothing to say. No reason to move. Those mornings I've built a little cocoon with the bed covers and lived in it almost happily. Because what fools the body more than warmth? And more than once, I've shared an emptiness with someone and learned how generous I can be. Here, take this. Take this.
My love is as a fever longing still for that which longer nurseth the disease, feeding on that which doth preserve the ill, the uncertain sickly appetite to please. My reason, the physician to my love, angry that his prescriptions are not kept, hath left me, and I, desperate, now approve desire is death, which physic did accept. Past cure I am, now reason is past care. And frantic mad with evermore unrest, my thoughts and my discourse as madmen's are, at random from the truth, vainly expressed. For I have sworn thee fair and thought thee bright, who art as black as hell, as dark as night.
She got in a rage about age, and retired in a huff from the stage, which, taken all round, was a pity, because she was still fairly pretty. But she got in a rage about age. She burst into tears, it appears, when the rude, inconsiderate years undermined her once flawless complexion. And whenever she saw her reflection in a mirror, she burst into tears, it appears. She got in a state about weight, and resented each morsel she ate. Her colon she constantly sluiced, and reduced, and reduced, and reduced, and at quite an incredible rate, put on weight. She got in a rage about age, but she still could have played Mistress Page, and she certainly could have done worse than hay fever or Juliet's nurse. But she got in a terrible rage about age, and she moaned, and she wept, and she wailed, and she roared, and she ranted and railed, and retired, very heavily veiled, from the stage.
Suddenly, the legs want a different sort of work. This is because the eyes look out the window, and the sight is filled with hope. This is because the eyes look out the window, and the street looks a fraction better than the day before. This is what the eyes tell the legs, whose joints become smeared with a fresh sap which would bud if attached to a different limb. The legs want a different sort of work. This is because the ears hear what they've been waiting for, which cannot be described in words, but makes the heart beat faster, as if one had just found money in the street. The legs want to put on a show for the entire world. The legs want to reclaim their gracefulness. This is because the nose, at last, finds the right scent and tugs the protesting body onto the dance floor. This is because the hands, stretching out in boredom, accidentally brush against the skirts of the world.
O sweet spontaneous earth, how often have the doting fingers of prurient philosophers pinched and poked thee? Has the naughty thumb of science prodded thy beauty? How often have religions taken thee upon their scraggy knees, squeezing and buffeting thee, that thou mightest conceive gods? Yet, true to the incomparable couch of death, thy rhythmic lover, thou answerest them only with spring.
Earth, receive an honoured guest. William Yeats is laid to rest. Let the Irish vessel lie emptied of its poetry. In the nightmare of the dark all the dogs of Europe bark, and the living nations wait, each sequestered in its hate. Intellectual disgrace stares from every human face, and the seas of pity lie locked and frozen in each eye. Follow, poet, follow right to the bottom of the night. With your unconstraining voice, still persuade us to rejoice. With the farming of a verse, make a vineyard of the curse. Sing of human unsuccess in a rapture of distress. In the deserts of the heart, let the healing fountain start. In the prison of his days,
teach the free man how to praise.
We forgot to water the plantain shoots when our houses were full of borrowed meat and our stomachs with the gifts of strangers who laugh now as they pass us because our land is barren. The farms are choked with stunted rows of straw and with our nightmares of juicy brown yams that cannot fill us. The roofs of our houses rot from last winter's water, but our drinking pots are broken. We have used them to mourn the dead of old lovers. The next rain will wash our footprints away, and our children have married beneath them. Our skins are empty. They have been vacated by spirits who are angered by our reluctance to feed them. In baskets of straw made from sleep grass and the droppings of civets, they have been hidden away by our mothers who are waiting for us at the river. My skin is tightening. Soon I shall shed it. Like a monitor lizard, like remembered comfort at the new moon's rising, I will eat the last signs of my weakness, remove the scars of old childhood wars, and dare to enter the forest whistling like a snake that had fed the chameleon. For changes I shall be forever. May I never remember reasons for my spirit's safety. May I never forget the warning of my woman's flesh weeping at the new moon. May I never lose that terror which keeps me brave. May I owe nothing that I cannot repay.
My mistress' eyes are nothing like the sun. Coral is far more red than her lips red. If snow be white, why then her breasts are dun. If hair be wires, black wires grow on her head. I have seen roses damasked red and white, but no such roses see I in her cheeks. And in some perfumes is there more delight than the breath that from my mistress reeks. I love to hear her speak, though well I know that music hath a far more pleasing sound. I grant I never saw a goddess go. My mistress, when she walks, treads on the ground. And yet, by heaven, I think my love as rare as any she belied with false compare.
A few light taps upon the window pane made him turn to the window. It had begun to snow again. He watched sleepily the flakes, silver and dark, falling obliquely against the lamplight. The time had come for him to set out on his journey westward. Yes, the newspaper were right. Snow was general all over Ireland. It was falling on every part of the dark central plain, on the treeless hills, falling softly upon the bog of Allen, and further westward softly falling into the dark, mutinous Shannon waves. It was falling, too, upon every part of the lonely churchyard on the hill where Michael Fury lay buried. It lay thickly drifted on the crooked crosses and headstones. on the spears of the little gate, on the barren thorns. His soul swooned softly as he heard the snow falling faintly through the universe, and faintly falling like the descent of their last end upon all the living and the dead.
The shattered water made a misty din. Great waves looked over others coming in, and thought of doing something to the shore that water never did to land before. The clouds were low and hairy in the skies, like locks blown forward in the gleam of eyes. You could not tell, and yet it looked as if the shore was lucky in being backed by cliff, the cliff in being backed by continent. It looked as if a night of dark intent was coming, and not only a night, an age. Someone had better be prepared for rage. There would be more than ocean water broken before God's last put out the light was spoken.
I note the obvious differences in the human family. Some of us are serious, some thrive on comedy. The variety of our skin tones can confuse, bemuse, delight. Brown and pink and beige and purple, tan and blue and white. I note the obvious differences between each sort and type, but we are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike. We are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike.
It is 6 a.m. and I am working. I am absent-minded, reckless, heedless of social obligations, etc. It is as it must be. The tire goes flat, the tooth falls out. There will be 100 meals without mustard. The poem gets written. I have wrestled with the angel, and I am stained with light, and I have no shame. Neither do I have guilt. My responsibility is not to the ordinary or the timely. It does not include mustard or teeth. It does not extend to the lost button or the beans in the pot. My loyalty is to the inner vision, wherever and howsoever it may arrive. If I have a meeting with you at 3 o'clock, rejoice if I am late. Rejoice even more if I do not arrive at all. There is no other way work of artistic worth can be done. And the occasional success, to the striver, is worth everything. The most regretful people on earth are those who felt the call to creative work, who felt their own creative power restive and uprising, and gave it neither power nor time.
The mower stalled twice. Kneeling, I found a hedgehog jammed up against the blades. Killed. It had been in the long grass. I had seen it before and even fed it once. Now I had mauled its unobtrusive world unmendably. Burial was no help. Next morning I got up, and it did not. The first day after a death, the new absence is always the same. We should be careful of each other. We should be kind, while there is still time.